So today's recording is going to touch on boundaries. We haven't been taught that. I think it's really important to know when and how to create a healthy boundary for yourself, for your sanity, for your protection, and also for the protection of someone else. Because when you don't have a healthy boundary, not only are you leaving yourself open to really unhealthy energies to bombard you, you're also enabling another person to continue a habit or behavior that is not necessarily beneficial to them and to others. So it took me years to figure this out because I was just such an open person. I thought openness was equivalent to the amount of love that I was able to share with others. And then if you were to look at it from another angle, my perception of love was very distorted because I thought love was not only being overly open to everything and everyone, but also I was looking for a form of validation through others. So, it was just a really distorted view of love and care. You know what I mean? Um, I think love has a lot to do with the amount of respect and space that you hold for yourself and for another person or being. And what I mean is, like, obviously, if somebody is doing something that makes you feel uncomfortable, you don't allow them to continue doing that. Um, it doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve you. It doesn't serve them. And it's just a very unhealthy cycle to keep on keeping on. So when is it appropriate to draw a boundary? Well, I think that's why, like, self-awareness and taking time to become or form a very intimate relationship with yourself is so important. Because if you don't know who you are and what feels right to you, then how will you know how to, interact with the things in your environment? You won't. You won't be able to fine tune and dial into your intuition or your gut. You'll be very disconnected, very blocked off from the natural gifts that we are all actually gifted with. We all have gifts. We are all able to be clairvoyant and, you know, empathic and sensitive. It's just a lot of people have probably encountered something traumatic somewhere down the line that left them confused and scared, and so they just kind of block themselves off to their natural gifts, because we are all very, very gifted multidimensional beings. It's just, like I said, a lot of us have either blocked ourselves off from accessing and utilizing and proactively using our gifts, or we are not even aware that we have them at all because we haven't opened ourselves up to that dimension. You know what I mean? I don't know if I'm making sense. Um, yeah, but seriously, like, so I think it starts with self knowing, knowing yourself, knowing what feels right, what doesn't feel right, what you like, what you don't like, what you would like to implement, what you don't want to implement, what you want to consume, what you don't want to, there's just so many angles to it, but it ultimately starts with yourself. And then once you get a really healthy connection with yourself, an intimate, compassionate, loving, and respectful connection with yourself, then you can teach others how you want to be treated. And I'm not talking like, it's almost like you have to step out of your mind, you have to step out of your ego, you have to get to a place where you have reconnected with your soul. I know that sounds corny, but I mean, let's be honest, if you were to penetrate the layers of yourself, and tap into the essential nature that is you, that is your soul. So, yeah, I mean, and I think whenever you set any type of boundaries, it's very uncomfortable at first, because I feel like anything you don't understand is very uncomfortable because it's confusing and you just don't know much about it, and it generates fear within you. And usually the fear either triggers the fight or flight mechanism within you. So you're either going to fight, become defensive, or you're going to run away and you're going to avoid and you're going to, like, leave. Um, total natural response, not something that you should crucify. Obviously, back in the days, we needed the fight or flight response in order to preserve ourselves. You know what I mean? But in today's, and this is not a well thought through thought, but I think a lot of the things that we face in today's current space, the fight or flight mechanism is quite outdated, and it creates a lot of disconnection and confusion and barriers against accessing who we really, really are. You know what I mean? And it also creates that distance and barrier between understanding who another person is, when you fight or flight. So you kind of like have to be aware of when this mechanism is being triggered, and then just kind of step aside or put it aside and really try to, like, allow yourself to see things as it really is occurring. You know what I mean? Whether it be within you or within another person. A healthy relationship consists of both parties collaborating together and trying to listen and understand and hear each other equanimously. You know what I mean? It's a unhealthy relationship is obviously very one-sided, and you know you can't make much progress if it's just a one-sided relationship. I believe in giving people chances, but I also believe that you definitely have to draw a line somewhere. You can give people the benefit of the doubt and chances, but if after a certain amount of time, people, you know, obviously have recurring themes and patterns and behaviors, then you need to kind of step back and then acknowledge that. I'm trying to get to a point where, like, I don't really have to crucify anything or anyone, because I can accept everything and everyone with complete grace and ease. And, like, there's a lot of things out there that are obviously, um, or obviously causes discomfort, but I mean, you ultimately choose to allow discomfort to play out, in your experience. I want to get to a point, and maybe you feel this way as well, but I want to get to a point where I can graciously and effortlessly navigate through life. I can see things as they really are with ease and grace. Like, there would be no need to crucify. Like, so if I see someone that is doing something that I obviously don't agree with, instead of making them wrong and making myself right, I can just kind of see where they're at and why they are the way they are, and gain a higher understanding and awareness of their situation, so that I can practice my compassion muscle, and just kind of like accept them where they're at, and know that they're doing the best that they can, but then also respecting myself enough to not allow them to affect me. You know what I mean? I think it takes a lot of resilience and determination and practice to get to that point. And I think, people are setting goals in their lives. That's my ultimate goal, to just be at peace wherever I am, whoever I am with, and then just knowing that I have the power to participate or not participate. And also, I also have the power to like proactively allow everything and everyone to be without being affected. It's ultimately it, you know what I mean? But anyways, going back to setting boundaries. Sorry, I kind of went off on another like another lane, but when you try to, once you know yourself enough and you care about yourself enough and you love yourself and respect yourself and are practicing from a higher plane of exist I don't want to say existence. When you are playing or practicing from a higher level or degree of consciousness, you'll know what you want, what you don't want, what you will allow, what you won't allow, and you'll respect yourself enough to draw healthy boundaries and have conversations with people and let them know what you want and what you don't want. And you know I think it's uncomfortable because we get afraid, but then once you push past the fear, you know, and that takes a lot of courage, and you should acknowledge that, like to notice that you are afraid of something, but still find and generate enough energy to push through the fear, irregardless. You're afraid, but you're still pushing through it. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, like courage is not, I don't know, an arrogant play, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I did this, so I'm so courageous, It's no, it's like feeling the fear, but still, picking yourself up and moving through it. That's real courage. And I think a lot of people have won a lot of battles that they haven't even talked about. So, you know, it's a lot of us are very strong and courageous if you think about it. We just don't talk about it. All those battles that we fought through up until now. But yeah, let's get back to this subject on hand. I'm sorry. Um yeah, when you go to implement a boundary, I've noticed that, you know, people will have a tendency to retaliate. They will, because, you know, they probably come from a place where, they're still working on self-growth, and they're still working on leveling up and releasing things that no longer serve them, and they don't know any better, and you're probably going to get a lot of backlash, to be honest, and that's okay. You have to know that that's okay. um, just implement the boundary nonetheless, and the people who really really respect you and love you and care for you will still rise up to meet you. And if they don't, if they disappear from your experience, then that's okay too. The lesson is learned. This person has probably moved on to someone else to interact and play with in order for them to garner their lessons, and we're all on our own journey trying to figure it out. But yeah, it's really important. It's important for us. It's uncomfortable, to do it, but you have to do it. And it takes, baby steps. You the first time you do it, it's going to be very uncomfortable. It's going to be very awkward. You're probably going to get backlash, and it's expected, and that's okay. You know what I mean? I don't know if I made my point. I just know that you need to respect yourself enough to know what you will allow, what you won't allow, and to implement boundaries, no matter how uncomfortable it feels and no matter how afraid you are to do it. I think we're concerned about what other people think to some degree when we're afraid, but then at the same time, you're teaching them how you want to be treated, and it's best to always take a neutral stance when you do this, because you don't want to come off as defensive and you don't want to come off as timid. You want to be very confident when you're setting a boundary. I most recently had to set a boundary, and you know, I did get backlash. But then after sitting with it for a while, I've come to understand that, you know, irregardless of the outcome, I feel better knowing that I set my boundary and I stood by it. You stand by your boundary. You don't set a boundary and then, you know, just go, oh, okay, never mind. You know, you can keep doing that. No, like just be very firm about it. Um, when you get the backlash, like I said, like it's expected because it's probably where that person is at, and they are responding and reacting in the best way that they know how based on their level of, you know, self-work. And that's it. Sorry, my throat. I had to clear it. Anyways, excuse me. I don't know if this video helped. I just figure I'd put it out there anyway. Thank you for watching. Blessings to one and all. Amen.